All right, 4:30. Good afternoon, everybody. 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins here. You can see from our big camera up in the sky there, it's kind of like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. You get to see all behind the scenes there. Sitting down, ready to go. We have some tropical talk today, of course, about Invest 98L. Still not a threat to us at this point, but still something that we need to watch. But things are starting to get a little bit more in agreement as far as the models go, but there's a lot of uncertainty still. And if you look at it, it actually looks pretty decent as far as the structure goes. It does look like it's got some wind shear on the west side there, but you can see today it's really expanded, and that's starting to look more and more like what it should look like. So we'll talk about that, then we'll get into our local weather. We are going to have the end of this week into the beginning of the weekend is going to feel fantastic. I think some of the cooler air we've seen so far this year, real dry as well. Friday, that's your sick day, all right? By the way, I already have Friday off. It was planned, so I got lucky on that one. But Friday is your sick day this week coming up. All right, let's start with the tropics. Invest 98L. This is our wave. It's actually been moving very quickly across the Atlantic there. It's moving, well, let's back this up right there. It's moving to the west at 18. That has slowed down. It has been going 20 to 25 easily most of the time. It's pretty quickly across the Atlantic. But now that it's slowed down, that is going to give it the opportunity to try and develop a little bit. Winds are at 40 miles per hour. If it could get organized enough now, it would be Tropical Storm Melissa. All right, if it's organized enough. And now you can see the area for development. This is where we're watching, probably somewhere in here. It probably actually starts right in here. We have a 90% chance now from the Hurricane Center. So could be late tonight, could be tomorrow that we get at least a depression, but probably with 40 mile per hour winds, we'll probably end up getting, as I mentioned, Tropical Storm Melissa. That's the next name on the list. Pressure's 1,008 millibars. We have more sensors in that area as well, so we'll be able to keep an eye on it. Notice the visible satellite, though. I show you this because this would, see these clouds out here? These are low-level clouds. And then you can see these are taller clouds. We want to see from these low-level clouds if there's a circulation down there. And it's kind of tough to see. I'd be looking somewhere down in here where they think the center is, and I just don't see a whole lot at this point. So not organized enough to get a name and a track, but it is going to continue off towards the west, just north of Carousel now, and then move off where? To the west? To the northeast? That's the question. The GFS, look at the model split on it too. The GFS basically takes it and comes up here over Haiti and Dominican Republic, Turks and Caicos, and then takes it on out. The European tends to go further off towards the west, and some of the European models don't even develop it. It's like there's a lot of wind shear on it, and there'll be more wind shear, and I'll show you this coming up, but there's going to be wind shear all up in this area here. It's going to be a ton over us, which is great news for us. But there's going to be some wind shear in here, and that's going to make this kind of tough to form. You can see it's going to go a little bit more to the south and then come up. So that might give it a little bit of a chance. But you can see the forecast models are somewhat split. Let's look at the GFS and the European combined, okay? The yellow is the GFS, and that's just south of Hispaniola, Dominican Republic, right? See the Euro? The Euro is south of Jamaica there. Jamaica right there. There's Dominican Republic. All right, now this is Thursday morning, this Thursday, okay? So we have closed lows, we have something developed at that time, probably Melissa at that time, tropical storm, okay? Now watch by Sunday, completely different, all right? You've got the GFS, which is now way out in the Atlantic, or not way out, but you can see it's left Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. Meanwhile, you've got the European, which is over here. The Google DeepMind model was doing this and agreeing with the GFS, but now it's kind of starting to think that maybe it doesn't even develop. It drifts further off towards the west and doesn't develop. So we still are at a crossroads here where we're not certain what the forecast models think about this, okay? It's still a little bit all over the place, and obviously you can see the spread, but here's the key with the long-term Euro. It too, even though it lingers it out here, it too eventually takes it out to the north and the east, avoiding Florida. All right, that is great news, obviously, right there. Not good news for Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, even Puerto Rico has to watch it. But this is also a week from this Wednesday, so we're talking basically 8-9 days away. That's a long time for this thing to be sitting here and then get over to here and just hang out and then come out. So we're going to have to see what that looks like. That just seems a little too long to me. Now, I want to show you the water vapor. First of all, there's a lot of dry air here over the Gulf and over Florida. Good news. There's not a lot over the Caribbean where we have the system here now, okay? And this is going to continue to drift off towards the west. But what you're seeing here, you see this dip right in here? That is a trough. We've got another one, a big one sitting out here, all right? Those troughs, and this one's going to get deeper. That's what you want. There's another one, you can see it basically right here, okay? That's what you want to take these storms and pick them up and take them out to sea, all right? So this would do something like that that type of thing, okay? The problem is what does that setup look like here when the storm finally gets going? Is the storm going here? Is the storm going here? Once we get this here or here, what does it look like here? And so that's what we're trying to forecast here. So let me show you the forecast wind shear. Number one, look over the Caribbean. I'm going to head and stop this Thursday, okay? Now it's in an area, the European thinks it's here. Remember, the GFS thinks it's somewhere over here. But there is a little less wind shear. Either way you look at it, in the Caribbean, there's still some over the island. See all that? And that's not good for the storm. And that's why I'm showing you this. But the problem is there enough wind shear here to agree with some of the models that say this thing will struggle to form? All this up here, this is amazing. This is just a wall of wind shear that is going to help protect us. Anything trying to come up into here is going to get sheared apart and blown out. All right, that is what you want for avoiding storms here in Florida, okay? That's the good. Now, storms can get in there, especially if they started out further out to the southwest, they would get sheared apart and get a rainmaker, but this is good news for us, okay? That's Thursday. Let's go out to the end of the weekend, all right? GFS has something out in here. Look at all this. That is fantastic news for Florida, all right? That's why I'm not terribly worried at this point. But here's the Euro. See the circle down here? That's where it thinks the center is. There's Jamaica, all right? And this is Sunday, almost a week. That's 6 days away, all right? And then let's go out to the middle of next week, and I've kind of showed you the Euro before. You can see how it's coming out, going across the Turks and Caicos, perhaps the Bahamas. But still, look at all this wind shear for us. All right, so for us here in Florida, and basically the United States, the mainland United States, I think we're looking pretty good with this one, at least at this point. Regardless of where it goes, I don't think the shear forecast changes too much, what I've been showing you here. And so that means if it could somehow sneak up into the Gulf, it would get blown apart as it's coming this direction. I just don't think that's going to happen. That shear is part of those troughs I was talking about, these big, deep troughs that come down and pick things up and take them out. Okay, so it's a pretty good setup for us now. I will tell you, if it does meander down here in the Caribbean, these islands like Jamaica, even Cayman Islands, depending on how far west it gets, but Haiti and Dominican Republic, even Puerto Rico, ton of rain is possible in these places. And in fact, it's probable for most of those places. All right, so this is not a very good setup for those at all down there. And the water temperature is still very, very warm. This is basically untapped energy in the Caribbean because we haven't had a storm come across here. I mean, believe it or not, right? All the storms have basically come up and recurved. So we haven't had a big storm come across the Caribbean, and you can see how warm that water is. And that is a ton of energy that this storm's going to get. So if it could get organized, it's got plenty of fuel for the fire after that. All right, we're just fighting off that wind shear that's sitting up here over the islands. So it's a very delicate dance that this thing is doing right now. We're going to have to, I think, we'll probably have something named by tomorrow afternoon, maybe Wednesday at the latest, and we'll get a cone and all that good stuff. It's probably going to meander. It's probably going to stall in the Caribbean and then come up probably over Haiti or maybe even eastern Cuba is my guess at this point, and then take off to the north and the east. Melissa is the next name on the list. Nestor after that. I hope we don't have to deal with that, but the only thing that we're keeping an eye on right now is that area there. And as we get in the next week, this is the 22nd through October 28th. Sorry about that. We'll be quieting things down, we think. So, good news there. All right. That shear, that's over top of Florida. That is part of our weather that's going to bring us some cooler and drier weather, even than what we've seen already. All right, so when we come back, we'll talk about our local forecast.
Before hurricane season hits, it's time to prep your home. Familiarize yourself with where your water shutoff valve is located. If backflow prevention devices are installed, get them tested annually.
Those are some great tips, and Cool Today is here to help you weather the storm. For over 60 years, we've been here to help Floridians with their cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs. We can help you prepare, protect, and repair your home. Call 888-40-TODAY.
I was driving when a Ford pickup truck barreled into me from behind, sending me to the hospital.
I knew my husband was going to need an excellent attorney, so I called Dan Newland.
I'm so glad my wife called Dan. Dan really fought for me. He won my case and got me $650,000.
If you've been involved in a car accident, allow me to fight for you. Call me now at 813-888-8000.
Thanks, Dan, for winning my husband's case.
This autumn, give your home the upgrade it deserves. Save up to 20% during California Closet's Autumn Upgrade event, making it easier than ever to transform your space with our select finishes. Whether it's a walk-in closet, home office, pantry, or garage, our designs are about more than organization. They're about creating space for what belongs. We call it practical magic, expert design that feels effortless. Visit one of our 3 Tampa Bay showrooms or schedule your complimentary consultation today at CaliforniaClosetsTampaBay.com.
Windows are created and installed with different levels of quality. You need quality that can withstand the tropical climate. Our installers only install PGT custom windows and doors, so we are the go-to experts. Don't take my word for it. We have been named Best of Tampa Bay 3 years in a row, Reader's Choice in Sarasota 3 years in a row, and nationally recognized as Window and Door Dealer of the Year. Price is what you pay, but value is what you get. Give WeatherTight Windows a call today, and don't forget the cookies.
Welcome back. We have a mix of sun and clouds out there for today. It's actually, it's mostly sunny than anything else. It's beautiful. Take a live look outside right now. This is our shot from downtown St. Pete, looking off towards the east, and you can see just a few low clouds in the distance. Light breezes. It's not terrible either for boating. You can see some boats out there now. East wind 6 miles per hour. Love that one. All right, 82. Dew point 64, that's crept up a little bit, but that is still comfortable, right? We're almost getting used to this air now, as that's kind of where we've been for a few weeks. Once we drop down out of that high humidity summertime stuff, we've been basically in the low to mid 60s for those numbers. We've been seeing some cooler numbers every now and then, drier numbers, but not a whole lot. I think we do. I think we do Thursday night, Friday into Saturday. It's going to be pretty nice. All right, here are the temperatures. 89 in Tampa officially, 89 in Sarasota, 84 Homosassa. We've got 84s in Bartow and Lakeland for this evening. So your Monday evening will be a dry one for sure. We'll be looking at falling temperatures mainly down through the 70s. We'll be out of the 80s here pretty quickly. I think after about 7 o'clock, 7:30, most of us will be in the 70s, and we'll drop through those pretty quickly. Satellite radar is not showing much. We did have actually some thicker clouds. Watch these clouds up here up north. See that? That was around lunchtime today. They have thinned out a little bit by this afternoon, so most areas are seeing sunshine. Next 12 hours, there is not a small rain chance. I'll take that out of there. That's an automated thing on the model. I think we stay dry, and as you can see by 9 o'clock, even Tampa is at 79 degrees, but I think most areas away from the water will already be there by that time. Now tomorrow morning, we're still going to be on the milder side. Most areas upper 60s, but even near 70 to start your Tuesday morning right here along the coast. The water temperature's hanging in there, about 80 degrees. If you noticed, it's kind of warm in the afternoons and cool in the evenings. This is actually very comfortable weather that we've had. And that trend really continues. I mean, if you look at tomorrow, 87 to 88, there'll be 1 or 2 spots to get to 89 degrees for tomorrow. So it's going to be a warm one, but sunny with a mix of sun and clouds, especially by late morning and into the afternoon hours. How about 88 in Tampa, close to 89 to 90 for Bartow? Yeah, it's getting kind of warm. That sun is still strong this time of the year, and it's heating us up. Northport about 90. 88 in Sarasota, 86 in Clearwater for your Tuesday afternoon highs. Now, boating. As I mentioned, boating looks pretty good. Northeast winds only around 5 to 10 knots. We'll take the flag off of there. We don't have any issues with that. And even a light chop on the bay. So really good looking forecast. UV index is about a 7 or 8. Seas only be about 1 to 2 feet. But again, it just continues out of the east and the northeast. And so if you're going offshore, just remember, obviously, it gets bumpier with that east to northeast wind. But it's a lot less than what we had at the tail end of last week. Okay, so winds have come down just a little bit. In fact, watch the day. This is 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get the idea. It just goes northeast to north. All right. So good looking boating day for your Tuesday. Now let's talk these cold fronts, because we have one now that's kind of trying to bring in some drier air over the next couple of days, but it's not much of a push. So it's a little bit, but it's maintaining what we have. Okay. Wednesday, this is 10 p.m. on Wednesday. We have another front coming through. This is what I would call a progressive pattern. All right. There's one front there. 2 to 3 days later, there's another front. That's pretty quick to have these fronts come through here. But that is exactly what we need to keep the tropical mess down to the south. All right, so this is a good pattern to have when you're watching the Caribbean for tropics, okay? So watch what happens, though. This one that comes through Wednesday night into Thursday, watch that dry air get down in here by Friday. That's Friday afternoon. That's why I said Friday's your sick day, right? Beautiful. Low to mid 60s, even in Tampa to get started. There'll be 50s widespread, especially Saturday morning. I think Saturday morning will be the coolest of this, but this is like just good blue skies, very dry air, temperatures struggling to get to the mid 80s for highs, although it'll look a little bit warmer, feel a little bit warmer out in the sunshine. This is a fresh air mass, a really nice one. Now watch as we go into the weekend. Saturday I think is okay. Sunday we're starting to return the moisture a little bit of humidity, and this green is all the moisture, so that includes humidity, but it's also some clouds will come in, not a whole lot, but there's a warm front. You see that? What's happening here is you see the wind arrows here. They're coming in out of the east and southeast, and that's a warm wind. That's a muggy wind. So you'll notice, especially after Friday being so dry and so less humid, you're going to notice the humidity increase on Sunday for sure. It's not terrible, don't get me wrong, but you'll feel it. And then as we go into Monday and Tuesday, this is into Wednesday, here comes another front. This is the one that would help us if the European model was right, okay? And that's what all these lines are anyways. But here it is with the storm, Melissa, sitting here in the Turks and Caicos after coming off of East Cuba, all right? That's a week and 2 days from now. So 9-day forecast, and when you're trying to forecast these things 9 days out, that's tough to do. So that doesn't mean this is going to happen. I do think, though, that certainly Friday we will get some really good dry air in here, Thursday night and Friday. And then just because of the pattern that we've seen, a front yesterday, today, another one Wednesday, Thursday, and then another one next Wednesday, Thursday, that is likely. All right, so we'll keep that pattern up with these high pressures coming down out of Canada and bringing some of that cool air, cool, dry air. That's going to be nice. All right, here's the humidity trend. Look at that. Yeah, you'll notice a little bit tomorrow, not much. Tomorrow's just like today. And really Wednesday for that matter is, I think Wednesday afternoon, you'll start to notice a bit, but certainly Thursday and Friday. And when you see numbers like that 54 for a dew point, the low temperature is not really going to get, well, it's not going to get below the dew point. You'd get fog if those two, if the temperature and this number here get together, you get fog. So patchy fog tomorrow morning, it's actually possible, not a lot, but it's possible, 68 degree dew point. But you can see the low temperature is going to be warm. But when you drop the dew points Thursday, Friday, and even in the Saturday morning, you're going to have much cooler starts to the day. You're not going to have a lot of rain. We're not, and this is the forecast through Saturday. But look at the high temperatures. This one's tougher to see because you don't, I mean, look at Friday and Saturday, right there in the middle. 87, 86, 87. I've got 86. These are the GFS numbers. They're a little bit warmer. And all of my forecast numbers are just a touch below these numbers. But they're not that far below it. And the average is 85 because we're still warming up in this strong sunshine that we have. The overnight lows, yeah, you're going to notice that. Look at Friday morning and Saturday morning, 62 and 65 in the mornings. That, I mean, Friday morning will be the coolest, I think, now. And then Saturday will be just behind it. And then we'll probably end up doing this again. So you can literally, looking at this map, you can see here comes a cold front, comes through, nice cool dry air, warm up a little bit, cold front comes through, we do it again. All right, so good looking pattern for us to be in. The 7-day forecast is showing temperatures that are basically, well, I wouldn't say mid 80s, but slightly above average because the average now has dropped down to about 85 degrees. So we're getting there, and most of these numbers, especially when you look at the overnight lows, remember, those are for Tampa, and Tampa's right by the water, and that water's still sitting around 80 degrees. So that's going to be warmer than anybody else, especially for those morning lows. The small number you see there If you're north and east of Tampa, you're going to be cooler than those. And I think it's really going to feel good on Friday morning. Okay, guys, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap things up.
I was involved in a very bad car accident. Called attorney Dan Newland, and it was like 1, 2, 3. Dan really got it done for me. At the end of my case, he got me $525,000.
As one of the largest personal injury law firms in the United States, my team and I remain committed more than ever to win big on your case. Involved in a car accident? Let's get started. Call me at 813-888-8000.
Thank you, Dan, for winning my case.
This autumn, give your home the upgrade it deserves. Save up to 20% during California Closet's Autumn Upgrade event, making it easier than ever to transform your space with our select finishes. Whether it's a walk-in closet, home office, pantry, or garage, our designs are about more than organization. They're about creating space for what belongs. We call it practical magic, expert design that feels effortless. Visit one of our 3 Tampa Bay showrooms or schedule your complimentary consultation today at CaliforniaClosetsTampaBay.com.
Windows are created and installed with different levels of quality. You need quality that can withstand the tropical climate. Our installers only install PGT custom windows and doors, so we are the go-to experts. Don't take my word for it. We have been named Best of Tampa Bay 3 years in a row, Reader's Choice in Sarasota 3 years in a row, and nationally recognized as Window and Door Dealer of the Year. Price is what you pay, but value is what you get. Give WeatherTight Windows a call today, and don't forget the cookies.
With a fresh new look and over 60 years of keeping Floridians comfortable, Cool Today is the name to trust for fast same-day service. Cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Our friendly expert technicians take the hassle out of home repair today. And Cool Today is here for you tomorrow, too. That's why we're introducing a parts and labor warranty on select AC systems for a lifetime. For cooling, plumbing, or electrical service, get the best from today and for years to come. Cool Today.
All right, guys, let's take a look at the national picture. We do have a pretty good little storm rolling through the Northeast right now, maybe causing some travel issues if you're north of New York. Now, actually, most of New York City airports are actually looking pretty good, the normal stuff. But you can see the rain that's happening up there. We've got a system that's moving through Minnesota. That'll move through, looks like Chicago here later tonight. The Bucks are indoors, so we don't have to worry about that in Detroit. But you can see a lot of rain now moving up through Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, and even some rain going to swing back through Boston later this evening. So other than that, I mean, look, that's